The world has changed a lot over the last few decades. A number of countries have been experimenting with becoming more multicultural, whereas others have preferred to remain more homogenous. Today, we're going to compare the two. A homogenous society is one in which people share the same background. This could mean commonalities in genetics, ancestry, heritage, and culture. A multicultural society is composed of multiple and distinct cultural groups that each have their own distinct identities. Genetics, ancestry, heritage, and culture are some of the distinct similarities or differences you'd expect to see between homogeneous societies and multicultural ones. Genetics will influence people's traits. These traits are encoded in DNA, and they are passed down from parents to children. Genetics will influence things like intelligence, height, skin color, hair color, eye color, facial features, bone structure, blood type, risks of disease, metabolism, temperament, physical performance, and many other things. Ancestry is concerned with your family origins and the people whom you descend from. Heritage is the cultural, historical, and material legacy that is passed down from previous generations. Traditions, values, artifacts, and historical pieces of infrastructure can all be forms of heritage that are passed down. Culture is the shared and learned system of meanings, values, norms, symbols, and practices that a group uses to understand the world. Culture is something that helps people with organizing their lives. It's transferred down through generations, and it also evolves over time. The first simple question we should ask ourselves is whether homogeneous societies and multicultural societies are viable and ethical. Hopefully, it's fairly obvious that there is nothing ethically wrong with either of these approaches. They are both viable ways that you could structure a society. However, these choices do have a number of ramifications. People with different genetics, ancestry, heritage, and culture could live together in peace and harmony. And homogeneous societies that have similar genetics, ancestry, heritage, and culture are also welcome to continue living just the way they are. They don't need to invite anyone else into their society if they don't want to. Let's consider the advantages and risks that can exist for each of these approaches. For homogeneous societies, the advantages are that there is a higher amount of reliability in the likelihood that you maintain a more cohesive society. The more that people share things in common, the less there is to disagree about. It also reduces concern about the outcomes that could happen due to any changes in demographics. Shrinking and expanding populations are less of a concern for a homogeneous society, as everyone shares a similar background and identity. A shrinking population doesn't mean a diminishing culture, or a population that is going to be replaced. Having more commonality across a population can also speed up decision making, as there's less things to be concerned with if people are more aligned on a number of topic areas due to the shared heritage and culture. Maintaining a homogeneous society is also useful for the continuation of cultural norms without much disruption. This also supports a slow and natural evolution of culture over time. The main risks with homogeneous societies are around how it can handle changes in demographics, such as the working age population. If there aren't enough young and active people in the economy, this could put a strain on supporting populations that have a growing percentage of elderly people. Now, due to the emerging capabilities of AI and automation, this is a problem that could be potentially solved in a few different ways in the long term. Homogeneous societies may also lack certain skill sets that could help with achieving more prosperity. It could be faster to bring in talent from elsewhere than it is to educate people at home or to create alternative solutions. Multicultural societies can have advantages around filling skills gaps more quickly if you're more open to inviting in external talent. This openness can make a society more adaptive to sudden changes, as people can more easily fill new positions due to economic and demographic changes. Multicultural societies can result in more languages, arts, cuisines, and perspectives, which some communities may prefer. However, the risks of multicultural societies are numerous. Rapid change of demographics can decrease social cohesion and trust between people as they become less familiar with one another and the preferences, morals, and values of the different groups of people that live in the society. This can make it harder to fund public goods, when some groups may exploit things like welfare more than others due to cultural differences. Groups from different backgrounds can also result in segregation. This can lead to the creation of separate community enclaves that reinforce their own culture. This can ultimately result in the creation of parallel societies. If everyone doesn't share the same language, this can also make communication and cohesion more challenging. Laws and policies can become more complex, as now you need to consider how you cater for different languages, values, and preferences, and how you're going to handle anti-discrimination enforcement. You also have concerns around housing and public service capacity, especially if demographics change too fast. Religious differences and differences in values and belief systems could also mean there are long-term differences that cause ongoing disruption and conflict. Multicultural societies also introduce the possibility that the native and ancestral population is replaced by the people that are introduced to that society. This could mean fully replacing the genetics, ancestry, heritage, and culture of that society. Genetics, ancestry, heritage, and culture are not equal. There can be huge differences. So the native and ancestral population need to think about whether they're happy with their own genetics, ancestry, heritage, and culture being replaced or not, as this is possible over the long term. Homogenous societies and multicultural societies are two distinct approaches for society, and these choices can have a dramatic influence on people's lives and wider society. There is nothing wrong with either approach, and there is no reason why any homogenous country needs to become multicultural over the long term. Each society needs to make their own decisions on how they want to live. An important question we need to answer is who should determine migration policy, and how can this change over time? We'll talk about that next. See you soon.